Hi everybody, it's Miss Hill. I hope you guys are doing good. Today we're going to be talking about how to write a scholarly history paper. This is in reference to the history paper that I'm actually going to hand out to you at the end of this. It will be due in about 3 weeks. I'll give a firm due date in a couple days. First thing I want to talk about is the standards that are covered. They're right there. They're the Minnesota standards for high school level students. And then the objective for today is given a slide presentation, the high school students will be able to research and write a history paper completely. First thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pick a topic. So for the paper that I'm handing out to you, you can pick any topic that you want. You can pick any person, location, time period, or event. Next thing that you're going to want to do is find tertiary sources. So tertiary sources are modern day sources, things that you can find online, textbooks, guidebooks. There's a whole bunch of examples on the side. But it's basically compiled data on that topic. So it would be the most recent thing. So like history.com or encyclopedias, etc. Just so you guys know, I am going to post this presentation online so you do have access to it. So if you need to refer back to anything, you can. But just keep in mind that while you're looking up your tertiary sources, obviously, so CRAP is actually an anagram for currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. So currency references the timeliness of the info. So it's basically saying if it was written over 20 years ago, don't use it. That'll be my criteria. So do not use sources that are over 20 years old. Relevance, how does it fit to what your paper is about? Obviously you don't want sources that have nothing to do with your paper because it just gets to be too much. The authority, who wrote the source? So most sources that are bad sources or crap sources don't have an author in the source, so make sure they have an author. The accuracy, reliable, and correctness of the info. If you Obviously, if you are looking at a bunch of sites and a lot of them agree, but then you run along one that has a bunch of things that you've never heard about, maybe look into that a little bit deeper. And then finally, purpose. So the reason why the info exists. So if it's just a blog post talking about it, obviously that's not as reliable as a museum, which is dedicated to the temple. So next, what you're going to do is you're going to find secondary sources. So these are the sources that were written after the fact, but they interpret the primary sources. So I will get to primary sources in a bit. Um, so on the bottom of the screen, you can see it would be the books, the articles, the newspapers, or the internet in general. The internet is kind of flexible between tertiary and secondary sources, but remember that secondary sources specifically talk about um, events that are from primary sources. Um, these sources, you'll have to have 3 to 5 of them. You'll also have to have 3 to 5 for the tertiary sources as well. Um, there are a bunch of databases that you can use. For example, underneath me right now, there's actually ProQuest. That's probably one of the bigger ones. Otherwise, you can look online. There's a bunch of databases to your uh, usal. Finally, you're going to ask who are the primary sources. So the primary sources would be the people that were actually live and they wrote during the event or somewhere near after the event. You're going to want to review all the sources that are covered and credible. So this diagram right here from Clark State Library is perfect for how you're going to want to research it. So you're going to want to start with your tertiary sources to figure out what you want to talk about and then move on from there. And then while you're writing your paper, you're going to want to start with the primary sources to give evidence and then tie in the tertiary and the secondary as after the fact. Um, Once again, it gives you examples of where you can find primary, all the different sources and what the characteristics of the sources are. Now, finally, we're going to write your paper. So obviously you need to pick the right topic. You need to research the topic. You need to make an outline for the topic, which will be due in about a week and a half. You need to organize your notes, actually write the paper, and then edit and proofread, which if you want to submit an earlier edition of your paper, feel free to. I will gladly edit it and look through it and give you some feedback on it. Okay, so here's the paper. So this assignment, I will post it online as well. You can look it up, but it's a scholarly history paper assignment. The paper will be 3 to 5 pages in length. I have a bunch of guidelines on here, just about uh, what I require for paper. So obviously Times New Roman, 12-point font, double space. That's very important. Um, I will allow you to have up to 5 grammar mistakes before you go down in points. I do that just because I know obviously you're not experts in English, neither am I. So I will give you a little bit of leniency, but make sure that you are trying to do your best with grammar. Make sure you have your name, my name, the class name, the date, and the project name on the top of your paper on the left-hand side of the paper before your title. And then you need to have your actual title. It needs to be creative and relevant. And then it needs to have obviously an introduction paragraph, 3 to 5 body paragraphs. It's up to you how many you want to do. Minimum is 3. You can go up to 5. You can go above that if you want, but 5 will be the max that's required. And then a conclusion, obviously, that needs to restate the points in the thesis. Um, the actual research part of it, you can read through it. Obviously, it's just making sure you have all of your sources, which, as I stated, you need 3 to 5 tertiary sources, 3 to 5 secondary sources, and then 2 to 3 primary sources. And then on top of that, you will need a bibliography. We are going to write this paper in Chicago style citations. So that is footnotes. If you need help, let me know. Contact me. I'm glad to help you. Otherwise, you can go to Citation Machine, or Purdue OWL is also a good source for citation help. Um, you make sure that you do have a works cited page at the end of your paper that is in alphabetical order. It is very important that it's in alphabetical order, otherwise I get confused. Don't be worried about distinguishing between the tertiary and the primary sources. That's my job. So, and then if you scroll down in the paper, there's a whole rubric of everything. It is 50 points in total. So please do keep that in mind. So this will be a good chunk of your grade. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're in good health with Corona and everything. And have a good day. If you need any help, email me. Feel free to contact me with anything that you need. So have a great day.